Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn, and on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business and share them with us so that we can learn as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn. The link to that will be in the show notes below. But on today's show, our special guest is Anne Jirsch. She's the owner of Future Vision Training, providing future vision training, helping companies see into the future. I know that sounds like a little bit like, whoa, what? But helping people with visionary stuff. So, Anne, thank you so much for being on the show. And I want to start off by asking a question that I always love asking. If you were to somehow able to have a time machine and were able to go back to when you started your very first business and you were starting over again, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently in the first 12 months?
Well, that is such a good question. And I started out a very, very, very long time ago. I would not get sidetracked. I think one of the biggest things, and we all have this distraction, sidetrack. Oh, I better go and learn this now. Better study that. Oh, I could try that new thing, rather than just getting something and honing it and perfecting it and getting it out there in the world. Definitely being sidetracked was a big, big thing. And I still have to be careful now. I still have to go, no, don't do that. Is this part of where you're heading? Do you really need that? So I still have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I think we all do. It's very easy to be distracted around stuff. So definitely that focus bit. As you grew and as you began to grow your business,
Mm.
what's been the hardest part of scaling without becoming salesy or spammy?
That is the hard bit. How do you? I've had a couple of lucky breaks, and one of them was getting major book deals. And one thing I would say to anybody listening, try and get a proper book deal as opposed to self-publishing. It's a huge difference. That was my biggest break. That is still an issue today. I mean, marketing is so, and I'm going to look up what you talked about at the beginning because it sounds very interesting, but it is very difficult. I think it's more about putting out genuine from the heart content rather than spamming and annoying people and trying to compare. I know know so many people that are posting 3 videos a day and they're not getting anywhere. Year down the road, they're still no further down the road. Spending a fortune on marketing, they're no further. I find the people we listen to, the people that are genuinely into what they do, and you can tell the difference. So I think it is about just get out there and talking to people. I love that. I think that is what grows us and putting out good information, not keeping it all to ourselves, putting out some good content. I think that does more for us than all the marketers, all the marketing.
Yeah. What do you feel that good content has done in your own business to help you? Or are there any other things that you've done as well that has helped?
Well, the books were the big deal. That people
Yeah.
don't want to write a good book, but I find connected with when you start putting out content that's really relevant, your tribe starts to show up and your tribe will
Mm.
tell other people. So it is partly, but I find you got to work really, really, really hard. And that's the bit nobody tells you. I mean, even now, all these years later, I've worked in this field 45 years and I still have to work really, really hard. And a friend of mine, I will send you over her details because she's the #1 divorce coach in the world and her training is phenomenal. And we meet every so often, because it's good to talk to other people that are in your ballpark. And we talk about we're the ones that are up late at night still working. I know we talk about the 4-hour work week, but where is it? We're still working really hard. But I find if you, when you put out content that's relevant, and you stick, we jump around too much. I've done it. We scattergun. When you keep putting it out there, certain people come along who like what you do, and then their people become part of your tribe. their tribe becomes your tribe. So I think it's all about just consistently showing up, putting out some great material, but it's got to be very genuine. It's got to be very real. I just feel there's something different about people that are authentic. You can tell the difference. You can tell the difference between an I use AI every day, but an AI feature as opposed to one somebody sat down and created, you can tell the difference. And I feel it's about the person. If people love the person, that they will keep showing up for you. It's not even about the content as much. If they like the person, they will keep coming back for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Which leads me on to another question around that similar kind of vein of thought here. But what's the one thing that you've changed in like how you build relationships that made sales feel easier for you?
I think one of the biggest things I've held myself back from is coming from a poor background, and I left school. I'm very uneducated, couldn't read and write properly. It makes you hesitant to ask or speak to
Mm,
people in key positions. And that is something I've had to overcome. So to get sales, I will pick up the phone. I will speak to the CEO. I would have been daunted by that. That's being honest. That I would have been daunted by that years ago because they're educated. And I also find because of my background, I don't know what they're talking about half the time. They speak in a language that I don't get. But I found this goes down really well. I just go, Mister, I don't know what you just said there. Can you tell me in plain English? The other thing that I've had to adjust to is in the corporate world, they waste a lot of time. From my point of view, when you're an entrepreneur, you can't faff about all day. You can't take 3 hours to think of this and fill in that little form. We have to get on with it. So I've had to adjust to their speed. They're not going to adjust to mine. I've had to adjust to them. And I've had to put my hand up and go, I don't know what that means. And that took me a long time to be able to do that. And you know, they were amazing. Everybody was lovely. When I said I don't get that, but I've got a whole bunch. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm really good, but I also know what I don't know and what I'm not good at. And I found being honest. That's when there was a big shift.
and I think that's it's a very refreshing thing, I think, for people when they hear just honesty
Yeah,
around
yeah,
it. I think a
yeah,
lot of people kind of BS their way through stuff
yeah,
and
yeah.
you can kind of tell that, but when you have that genuine approach, I
Mm,
think that has a really big impact because they know, oh, this person's real. Like, and I can
yeah,
work with this person. And I think that it's a subtle thing. Obviously, you don't want to fake not knowing stuff, but just being just real is what I'm
yeah,
hearing from
yeah,
you in that and
yeah,
genuine
yeah,
in your approach.
yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Absolutely. And I had lunch with a major businesswoman a few months ago, and she said, "And you're refreshingly honest." And I felt really so happy she said that. She said, "You're refreshingly honest." And I thought, thank you. That is so nice. And she's hugely successful, started a business from her kitchen table, built an empire. Another person I'll introduce you to. She's just a humble, wonderful person. So when she said that,
Mm.
I thought that's really nice because I think for a long time, I think I had to come across as a therapist. And so I tried to talk like it. And one day I cracked a
Mm.
joke, and a few people went, "Oh my God, I can't believe you made that joke. That is so good." And I was holding back. I was trying to sound like a little therapist, like a middle class therapist, but I'm not. I work in therapies, but I'm not from that background. And I had to get out of the trying to sound that way, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, and just
Yeah.
come and make a joke and say something that comes out the top of my head. Then people who liked me showed up. I'm not going to amuse everybody. I'm not going to, I know I'm not. But the people who liked me really went, oh my God, I really needed somebody to say that. So that's when it started to shift for me, when I started to just be myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a what's the word for it? It's an obvious thing that we miss,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think we try to uh, I don't know why we're not just ourselves in the way that we show up oftentimes. It's interesting. Well, if you look back over the course of your business, one of the things I always love to ask is this: what's the number one biggest challenge? And maybe if we look at it over the last year or so, but what's the number one biggest challenge that maybe you've dealt with? And what's the lessons that you've learned from
I don't know if I've learned the lessons, to be honest, Jason.
that?
Finding good people in support. There's a world of people that go, oh, I can do your marketing. It'll cost you this much. I've got this, I've got that. Getting people, even just getting a PA, just even getting an
Mm,
assistant who shows up and does the day's work and isn't going to faint after 2 hours because they're tired. Just getting good people. There's an art form to that, and I wouldn't say I've mastered it. I've got some people that are amazing. One of them's my agent in the Middle East. I spoke to her yesterday. We have a total connection. We've worked together for 16 years now, but it's finding that you have to sift through a lot of people to get people that the guy that does my websites, wonderful. I've told him he is never allowed to retire from working with me. But I had
mm.
5 before him. Then so it's finding those gold dust people. That is a challenge, and people promise a lot and don't deliver these days.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the process is exactly what you've gone through is what we have to realize is you just have to go through variations of those people until you find the right ones, which is
Yeah,
really can be frustrating, but if you stick with it, you do find those gold dust people, which are
do
amazing. Well, if you
do.
look at let's say the next 2 to 3 years, Anne,
Mm.
what is your goals? What are you wanting to achieve with your business?
Well, I've written 5 books, and I've got in my head to write another book.
Okay.
It's just formulating. Books have always brought me a big audience because I go good publishers. My books come out in a lot of countries. Then I get invited. Then life's exciting, so that's great. I love that. Would you come here? Yes, of course I will. And you end up in places you'd never go to. I want to write a book, and I'm going to start a podcast. I should have done it years ago. I want to call it Future Vision. I'd love to invite you on because I can see you're forward thinking. And I want to interview people that are visionary or focused on the future. So they're my two biggest right now. I will carry on with my trainings, and I'm lucky. I get a lot of new information coming to my head. I'm very lucky. When you start looking into the future, you start tapping into a lot of information and you download it. So this is really good for me. So yeah, new book and a podcast. They're two things I'm really passionate to get going.
Amazing. I love that. I love that. Well, and for people that are wanting to learn a little bit more about you and get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, Anne Jirsch or Anne at AnneJirsch.com. If you just tap in Anne Jirsch, there's nobody else with the same name, I'm so pleased to say. So you'll find me everywhere, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook. I'm everywhere. Or futurevisiontraining.com. I'd love to hear from you. Love, 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 love to hear from you.
Amazing, amazing. And for everyone that might be listening, Jirsch is spelled Jirsch, just in case you're somewhere and you're writing that down. But Anne, thank you so much for being on the
Welcome.
show. I do recommend everyone checking out Anne. It's been great to have you on. Some great insights in there that you've shared as well. And that for everyone listening, just as a reminder, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. So to find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn. The link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.